I think it's very important that we start to pay attention to what's going on around the world. I think it's a learning experience if we choose to allow it to be a learning experience. I know for me, it's bringing a little bit more clarity into what I guess, preach on my platform, Dangerous Conversations. We talk about what most deal with in silence, and that is taking the journey within to becoming the better version of self. And in that journey, I take experiences that belongs to me. I take experiences that belong to other people, and I look around the world to gain my inspiration. And although we are experiencing horrors that's happening around the world, I think this is a perfect time for everyone to remain calm and reflective and to look to see how we can possibly learn. So moving forward, we don't create the same mistakes that has been created over and over and over. Being a person that realized that there is a God, I just don't think God is quite the same person that was described to me, being young, being raised with beautiful parents in a beautiful home, raised as a Baptist, and believing what the Christian Holy Bible has to say about who or what God is. I started to change the way I think and started thinking on my own what makes sense to me instead of what was being forced for me to know and for me to learn. And I'm very proud of myself that I did take the opportunity to do that. But in order to do that, no one told me that I had to go within. You know, taking the journey within to becoming a better version of self is extremely important, because that is where you will get all your hurt and your pain, your suffering, your happiness, your vulnerable moments, and everything in between. And can't go to anybody else, can't ask anybody else. It's strictly a journey that you have to take and that you have to go through on your own. And sometimes that could be scary because, you know, we all want somebody that we can talk to, right? We all want someone that can take our hands and be there for us whenever we need them. But taking the journey within, the only person that can be there is you. So you have to show up for you. And when you show up for you, you take everything in, you try to analyze it, and then whatever comes out becomes your truth, right? So as we look around to see what's going on in this world today, we see a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. And, it's easy for someone who's not going through that to sit back on the other side and have an observation to it and to have an opinion about it. But it's a whole different thing when you're actually going through it. So I like to be very careful when I speak about other issues that affect other people. But one thing that I do know is that when one thing goes on around the world, it eventually will affect all of us. And this thing that's going on around the world is really starting to affect me personally. It's bringing up some good points and it's bringing up some horrible memories, some horrible stories that me, being this beautiful melanated person, you know, my history surrounds the horrors and the misery that people had to live, had to go through in order for their survival. Me studying my history is all too familiar to me. I never let it go. It always stays with me. And it's something that I'm not sad about. I'm very proud about. You know, to say that I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors who made the way in order for all of us to enjoy and reap the benefits that they had to sacrifice for. But I'm also very proud to know that when big things come up in the world, I look at myself and I say, yeah, you're on the right path. Yeah, I think you got it. With so many religious institutions, so many different denominations to those religious institutions, it just lets you know how I don't think they got it quite right. We have some of the most religious groups in the world. They are committing the worst crimes possible. Starvation of a group of people, elimination of a group of people, torture, pain is all being created by people who are religious. The devastation that's going on in this world and the devastation that has always gone on in this world has always been backed by extreme religious institutions. And that says a lot. It speaks volumes to somebody like me. What it does is just reaffirms to me, as I stated earlier, how the only religion that matters is the religion that you choose. That matters, and that is every morning when you get up and when you look into that mirror, it's you. The God that you're seeking is looking right back at you. The God that can help heal you is looking right back at you. The God that can guide your footsteps and lead you to your destination is the God looking right back at you. The God is not coming from up above, on the side, or down below. It's coming from the person that you see in the mirror, and it is looking right back at you. You are the only one that's in control and in charge of the way you think, how you speak, what you allow yourself to see, and what you hear. You are the God that you've been searching for all along. Because when we look around and see what's going on in the world today, we cannot possibly keep up this same stereotype that God constitutes an institution and that these institutions live by the word of God, because they do not live by the word of God. They live by the bottom half of themselves. See, when we talk about God, now we also have to talk about the devil. Because the devil is not mysterious and the devil is not down below us. No. The same way you are God is the same way you are the devil. You see, when you are not dealing with your mind and your heart, and those two important elements that make up a human being is not in alignment with one another, then the devilish will come out of us. The devil doesn't make us do devilish things. We make a conscious decision to do devilish things. That is the nature of man. We are no different than the animal kingdom. We are just on a higher vibrational level in which we don't live doing things out of habit. We live by whatever it is that we can create. So we create good. But the duality of that is that we also create bad. But the way I think, is there such thing as good or bad? No, it's just what is. Whatever you allow yourself to be, that's what it is. So now going back to the religious aspect of it. We see so many people devastated by a religious group, a religious sector. We see people who claim to be the chosen ones doing the most wickedest act towards their fellow men. We see the ones that claim that, our God is not something that we go to once a week, but it is a part of us. It lives through us. Everything we do is for that God. And yet we see them creating the worst act against another man. So now I think we should kind of have a step back to analyze what we are realizing, to know that I can't believe you now, even if I wanted to, that your God is a God of mercy, that your God is a God of love, of peace, that your God is going to make sure you do what you need to do, because if not, Judgment Day is right around the corner. None of us knows the minute, the second, the hour, but one thing that we do know, when that time comes, we will be judged by our God. And therefore, let's be real about it. That should scare you into doing what you know that it is right. But as we see, what is right is not being done. Everything wrong is being done. I feel like we are not even learning from the past, that we get nowhere through acting out violence. So now, a lot of us would say, how does what's going on in the world affect me personally? Well, I live in America, and it's a shame to see that something that is going on could have been 100% prevented. But it was not prevented. So now what happens? Money comes behind something that could have been prevented. What's going on in this world now should have never happened. As we know, sometimes it's supposed to happen. Because unfortunately, we live in a society that the more evil that's being done, the more righteousness that's being done, the more that you can do the most to get exposed, is the more that you get the attention. And when you get the attention, money comes behind that. A whole lot of money. Like I stated, I live in America. And over this past year, I have seen, like everybody else could see, that the money that we make, that we pay taxes to, is slowly being taken away from us, given to other causes, given to other countries, without any explanations, without even knowing why. To have to know that monies are being taken out of departments that are supposed to give back to ensure that a nation is taking care of the vulnerable, taking care of people when they are at their lowest point, taking care of people that is very difficult for them to take care of themselves. How do you create something? You're not trying to even put an end to it. You're taking money out of a system that's meant for one group of people, and then you're giving it to another people to try to help them out. You cannot donate to try to help somebody out. You cannot give aid to try to help somebody out. How you help somebody out is prevention. Having the foresight to understand that if you go left instead of right, you may end up in a situation where you will regret. So let's try to steer you right so you can be on the right path. But no, you'll let them go left, knowing that they're heading towards a war. And then a few days later, you tell them, okay, we'll give you aid. Where's the aid coming from? It's coming from people who really don't have it to give. So not only are we dealing with The devastation of families, the devastations of innocent people, the devastation of children, the devastation of animals that are dying every second of the day. But now we run into another issue as to the finances. People who are not even affected by this, once again, is going to be affected by it, because it's going to be you responsible for taking care of this war that we are in or not in. Is it a war? Is it not a war? It's really pathetic. And it's really something where you have to look at and say, I wonder if people really do have their senses. Because everything that's being done, when you look at it, I don't see nowhere in that particular situation where common sense is actually being used. Sometimes I have to wonder, is this all being done purposely? Are we purposely saying to ourselves, yes, let's go to war, because if we go to war, this may happen? Okay. How do you create something that now you have to give aid to? Don't create the situation in the first place. And one thing that I've learned, we will never know the truth. Whatever is the propaganda that's being spread, that's not the truth. Whatever or whenever something happens, you will know between 2 to 5 years what really happened. So the propaganda that we are on, trying to talk about what really happened, no, that's not what it is. What's going on is that we are seeing that clearly religion, the way we know it today, being backed up by institutions, is not working. It's not changing the minds of the masses. It's not allowing us to love one another. It's not allowing one of us to be our brother's keepers or our sister keepers. It's not doing any of that. When we look at TVs and TV shows and our celebrities, they will do the most hideous things and then turn around and say, I'm trying, but I believe in God. Oh, God will see me through this. It's becoming to the point where you're making God look like a hypocrite. It is coming to a point where you're making God seem as though his power is not strong enough to divert the minds of the wicked away from their behavior. But to me, I understand that the God that they force down everybody's throat and the ways of walking in the path of the one, that's not correct at all. And that's why we see what we are seeing today. Remember, you cannot have two big, powerful religious organizations killing and starving each other at the rate, on the capacity, and at the speed that they are doing it now. And there is no way either side could ever come to me and tell me that their God is with them, that their God is real. That cannot go. As the Jamaicans say, "Can't go, sir." That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make common sense, and it doesn't make any other kind of sense. What it lets me know is people will use the precious knowledge of another group of people and twist it and turn it for their own benefit to secure their own survival. And that is what we are dealing with. We're not dealing with truth. We're not dealing with justice. We're not dealing with, I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. We are not dealing with when we go to Africa and Ghana and see the plaque on the wall to say, with this, we will never repeat it again. Because every day we keep repeating the same thing that our ancestors have left us to show us it doesn't work. We're not even trying to do something different. What it really looks like, it looks like a distinctive, organized crime family. The whole world is living underneath those rules. You say something that I don't like, I'm coming after you. You believe you need to defend yourself, so I'm coming back at you. I don't agree with what you say because of A, B, C, D, E. But within that A, B, C, D, E, you do the same exact thing. We are losing our minds. 2023, heading into 2024. We have not changed, we have not learned, we are not growing, and we are not moving forward. What we are doing, we are standing still in the place of my ancestors, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, that had to be faced with a wicked regime that seize, conquer, divide, and destroy. And we see that pattern happening over and over, year after year after year after year. Just because you throw us toilet paper and we are in a position where we can wipe our asses with it, does not mean that that toilet paper really did secure the cleanness of our asses. You see, you have to use a rag, and water and soap have to be on that rag. The only way to really get your ass clean is to wash it with a rag and soap and water. It is not superficial to throw just toilet paper at me and think that my ass is going to be clean. 100. It is not. So, what we need to do as a people, so much hatred is going around, we cannot emulate that, because we will be no different than the ones that are creating this evilness to happen, this wickedness to happen. And then on top of that, we're financing this wickedness, the self-destruction, the murderers, the killers. We are financing it. And at some point, we cannot emulate that same behavior that they are emulating. We have to take a step back, and we have to use our mind to get out of the situation that we are in. And in order to use our mind to get out of this hellhole that we find ourselves in, we are really going to have to change the way we think. We are going to have to change the perception. We are going to have to change the truth that has been told to us. Because truth can only come if you witness it and if you know it, not because it was bred into you or taught to you. We are going to have to use something that's much more greater, that they can't kill, that they cannot destroy, and that they cannot take away, and that is knowledge. They could do whatever they want to do physically to you, but what's in that mind and what comes out of that heart is something not even the most powerful person on this planet could be able to touch. And that is to know you. That is for you to stand in your truth. That is for you to stand up for righteousness, for purity. That it is up to us to say no more. This can't go on as usual. And if you are in a position that we put you in and you cannot do what you are supposed to do, then you need to open up the door, unless we're going to kick it down. So you need to open up the door, and you need to let people in, like myself, like many other thousands and hundreds of thousands people who really lead by common sense, who really lead by what their heart tells them to do. And murder and wickedness and depriving the people and stepping on someone's neck just to get ahead is not in the body where my soul resides. And it's not in the body of the souls of the many people out there that are witnessing this and witnessing what is going on. You see, the young people that's coming behind us, we have to be mindful of what we are showing them and what we are giving them. Because now they will interpret what is going on as this is what we need to go on whenever we feel like we are being threatened. We need to fight back. We need to drop bombs and eliminate the threat. You don't eliminate a threat. You put a threat down. There's no need to go to the extreme of a life for a life. Because when one dies, all of us dies. When one of us do the murdering, we all are responsible for doing the murdering. We have to come together. And the only way that I believe that it will be successful for us to come together is when we strip ourselves down. Take out all the ideology. Take out all the isms. Take out all the what you was told or what you think you believe. Take out the path that you were forced to walk in. We are going to have to sit down. We are going to have a negotiation with ourselves. We are going to have to put our best foot forward. And we are going to have to lead. We're going to have to lead the inner part of us to a point in which we know not of. We are going to have to tell ourselves that we are the only ones that are responsible for ourselves. Government clearly cannot do that. They have proven to us over and over and over. They're not for your benefit. Having a job does not necessarily put food on your table. We are witnessing that. Not only does it not put food on the table, it doesn't even give you the possibility to put the table inside of a home. Look around. Look at the housing crisis we are experiencing. How high can the interest rate be if you want people to buy homes? And we cannot keep relying on the system that is showing us year after year after year after year that it works. We cannot rely on one man to run a nation and think we are all going to be satisfied. We cannot rely on institutions, charities, religious institutions. We cannot rely on them to be the source we need for our spirituality, for the help that we may need. We solely have to rely on us. We have to rely on the fact that God made us in their own image. We are perfectly designed to be able and capable of handling any situations that come our way. We experience mental health because we are just going along with a program that was never meant to work, for your mental health to become better, for your mental health to become healthier. We are working in a system that's meant to destroy it. And this is why we are suffering. This is why we are depressed. This is why we are dying in hospitals, withering away in nursing homes. We were designed to be able to create, and with creation is healing. We were designed to heal ourselves. We have everything that we need to heal ourselves. If we would just walk out on that branch and just see that there's another side. There's a beautiful side to the situation that we are currently in. It's not enough for us to feel sorry. It's not enough for us to protest. It's not enough because during that time there are people that are suffering. There are people that are dying. It has to come to a breaking point, which it will. But it has to come to a breaking point that we start to change the way we think and we start to rise up in our own divinity, take charge and take control and make it happen. We have to stop the madness within ourselves. We have to stop and help the madness when it's being done to somebody else. We have to come out of our comfort zone and dig deep down inside into a scarier zone of the unknown to bring out the best that we know that we can be. And when we do that and we all stand together as one, nothing could be against you that will ever bring you down. There's no more excuses. There's no more negotiating. There's no more peace treaty. We have done that year and time again. And it got us completely to the situation that we are in right now. The killing, the murdering, the suffering is still going on. Like Martin Luther King said, the whole system has to be broken down and built up anew. But without changing the mind frame, it will still continue to be anew, just in a different way. But once that mind is changed, once you understand how powerful we are, once you understand that we represent the universe and the universe represents us, once you start to understand, no, we did not evolve from monkeys. We were created and designed to be exactly what we are today. Once you understand that no, Homo sapiens sapiens is only about 200,000 years old. There has been multiple and many different peoples that populated this planet, that understood the sciences, that understood fire, that understood gravity. We didn't just discover that. That's been here. We happened to discover it. So now it's new to us. But once we go back deep down into our soul, into our spirit, we could bring up that DNA, that beautiful memory bank, bigger and could hold more gigabytes than anything that we can buy for memory. We have it within us. We have it within us to see how the ancients were able to survive. We are capable of reliving what we know we are supposed to live like. I thank God that we do have a history, that we can go back and we can see communities working together. We do see mothers being able to go back to the community to get the help that they need to raise a child. We do see the men all together going out hunting food and bringing it back for everyone. And we do see the kids helping the mothers out to prepare the food and the feast. We forgot about that. It got trapped into our DNA and suppressed because we're dealing with so much other things that really don't make any sense. Sometimes we have to stop. And sometimes we have to not analyze what's going on with what we see, but we need to analyze what's going on with us. Because what's going on a bigger scale in this world, we are doing it on a smaller scale in our own world. We have so much to say about everybody else, yet we do the same thing and we take no reflection or accountability on the things that we do. It's time that we come out of this bondage that we are in. And it's time that we start to see the light and move towards the light. And the only way that you can come out of bondage and the only way that you can see the light is not through an organization, it's not through a president, it's not through a leader, it's not through a charity. It's through you. You are the only one that's capable to bring you and everybody else around you out of this misery that we are living in once you change the way you think and become the better version of yourself.